Do all champions think the same? That's the question I'm attempting to answer in today's video. I'll be taking 6 champions and lining them up on a center line. I will then be making a statement, and the champions must walk to the right if they agree with the statement and to the left if they disagree. The farther they walk away from the center line, the more extreme their agreement or disagreement is. Once they've moved to their places, they will have the opportunity to discuss the topic and share their opinions. Now that we've gotten all those rules out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the video. Champion was easy for me to achieve. Garfield, why do you agree?
Rank 2.0 is pretty bad, and the quality of players are even worse. So overall, you just have a very easy experience if you're in a 5-stack.
Okay, MJ, why do you disagree?
Because I mainly solo queue, and I get it. Like, for example, before the rank 2.0, I could barely reach diamond, and that's a fucked up. Okay, but now, can I use swear word? Sorry. Now I can reach diamond, but champ is still very hard.
A player's rank means nothing.
As somebody who plays in collegiate, the sheer amount of people that I've had join either scrims or even try out, they're sitting in champion, and they'll be like a high KD champion, and then I can't field them as a player because they've got no game sense whatsoever, has skyrocketed in at least the past 2 seasons. I'll argue that if somebody's KD is pushing higher and their win-loss is higher, it's more of they have a good stack that they can play with, but it doesn't actually mean they understand the game like it may have used to before rank 2.0.
I'll agree to an extent that it doesn't mean anything, but whenever you look at like the total player base of the game, like 80% of people can't get over gold. So at least, you know, if you're any good at the game at all, like, yeah, you're gonna be gold or higher, but there's a significant amount of people in the game that are not above gold or plat.
To go back to what you're saying about the people can't reach over gold, that's primarily because of the time played in reality. Like, that's it. Or they're, let's say, solo queue, and then, like, yeah, they just end up not playing a lot of games per season.
No, I don't disagree with that, but I mean, I'm sitting mid diamond right now, and I'm in the top 0.5%. So I don't know. I mean, could be one or the other, but for the most part, I agree. But to a little point, I do disagree.
Siege is the hardest competitive shooter to learn.
So I say it mainly because I haven't played any other shooter competitively. So to just say, well, everybody else's game sucks is hard. Because if I step onto Val or I step onto CS or even Call of Duty, I'm still not able to just immediately push ranks just because I'm a champion. Siege.
Yeah,
that's wrong. That's wrong.
Okay, but
that's true. Like, that's right.
The game does not transfer at all.
That's wrong.
The question is phrased. All right. I know the question was phrased. How hard is it comparatively?
The skill gap is very easier, I think, on those games, isn't it? Like, for example, in counters, right? There is no map knowledge.
Well, there is.
Higher.
Oh, there.
Yeah, there is. No,
there's a lot of smokes you need to know. Like,
it's higher. Yeah, it's higher in season. With the destruction, the destruction is so important.
Yeah, the vertical play is the hardest part about Siege, I would say. But as for like movement and everything, like CS is incredibly hard compared to Siege. Like Shift W, and lean in Siege.
Yeah.
You look up, look down. But for CSGO, like you've got strafing and you know, shooting and moving at the same time affects how you shoot. In Siege, it's wherever you're aiming, it's where you're shooting. So
did somebody say Siege doesn't correlate, like the IQ that you gain, like
the game?
That's wrong in my opinion, because like there's a certain amount of shit that you need to learn, like to grasp in Siege, for example, like map knowledge, knowing positioning, shit like that. That does correlate to Valorant. I swapped to Val for a little while, and within 3 months I was Immortal 2, and that's considered like one of the higher tiers in the fucking game. It's like Diamond basically in this game, except it actually means a lot more.
Once you get good at this game, getting good at other games becomes infinitely easier because
I agree.
Yeah, 100%.
mechanics is a big thing too. Because once you're familiar with like all your mechanics on Siege, other games are nothing because Siege has more movement mechanics. And then also with like game sense and like positioning, holding like off angles, that's universal through all games. And Siege, once you're good at that in Siege, you're gonna be good at that every other game because Siege has destructible floors, walls, everything like that. So it's like every other game becomes a lot more simple in a way.
Yeah, because you can go about like, for example, like the way maps are structured. Like you have this basic, like think about like a game like Valorant or CS:GO where you don't need to worry about majority of maps. Majority, like I said, because you can be wallbanged, but you can't get wallbanged in majority of maps on Valorant unless you're using like a Odin on like certain spots. Like Siege is 10 times just more complicated.
Yeah, and it's like every like CS and Valorant, other FPS games, they're like 3D. Think about Siege as like a 4D game because there's infinitely more things to worry about.
I play Siege now more than I ever have.
I'm gonna be honest, this season, compared to the last 2 years of Siege, has had the least cheaters for me. I've not played any Ragers this season at all, and then as well as that, every single console cheater I've played has just been really not good at the game. And then I just, my stacks are able to win against that.
First of all, I just want to say to Aiden, do not get bored of like playing the worst players known to man.
Yeah, but at the same time, bro, you just gotta get on that grind, bro. Just gotta get on that grind.
I respect it. I don't know. I've been playing Siege since year one. I used to love getting on the game and like I would get excited. Even like when I swapped to PC, it was the same thing. But like, there's nothing for me to grind for. It feels like as a player as well, it doesn't feel like I'm actually stimulated when I play ranked. It's like you load up and you play literally the dumbest players known to man, and all it takes is like, you know, a trio stack and then you're good to like slam mostly anybody. You don't run into people you know in the community. That doesn't really happen as much for me, at least. And it's just, I don't know. It's just, I don't want to say it's too easy because like I'm not a fantastic player compared to any pro players, but it's just like you don't run into any good players.
I'll give you the grind part because there's really nothing to grind for in this game. Like, for example, in COD, you can grind for camos, grind for prestiging or something. There's nothing to grind for in Siege, other than rank, of course.
Yeah, in the shitty battle pass.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but at the same time, like, I'm gonna just get real here. It's low-key just a dopamine boost when you're just in a 5-sec full like top 20 champs and then they think you're cheating.
Bro, and then you actually have something online in rank 1.0 because if you lose when you're a top player, you're losing like 40 points compared to the 4-year gain. But now it's like you lose what, like 11 or something?
I lose 32 and gain 4.
How much do you gain though? Like 11?
I gain 4 elo, I lose 32.
Okay, so that's basically like the top because you're so deep in the ranked. But like, yeah. That makes sense.
But I feel like middle towards like the bottom levels of champ, I'm pretty sure you gain and lose the same amount. Once you get to the top, there's more stakes, and I feel like that's where a lot of my passion for playing rank comes from, just because it's like low-key a gamble, because they're like every game, obviously you think you're gonna win, but there's always that chance.
Ranked 2.0 killed ranked.
Well, I mean, first of all, we saw the data from Ubisoft. It actually populated more, the ranked, and I enjoyed it a bit more. Maybe because I'm not as professional as other players, as these guys, but it made me try more and grind more, so to make that champ finally. And I got it finally, but it is very interesting, to me at least.
I would say it killed ranked in the way that there's a lot less stakes, and it's a lot less competitive than it was before, because I'm gonna be honest, I play at most probably 2-3 hours on my main a day, at most. And then it's like, I haven't played for 2 days, and then on my main for 2 days, and I moved down like 2 spots. Usually on rank 1.0, I would be several spots down by now. And there's no passion anymore. And I feel like the result of the hidden MMR system, that's what I'm saying, the hidden MMR system, and how you could have a 50% win rate, make it all the way through champ, and just stay in there the whole season. Like, there's no stakes once you hit champ. Yeah.
See, I like how rank 2.0, you're able to play with your teammates. Like, you're able to play with whoever you want.
Yeah, that's the best thing about rank 2.0.
Yeah, I had times where before in rank 1.0 where I couldn't play on my main account with, you know, the people that were on my collegiate team at that time. And it's like, the first couple seasons of rank 2.0, it was good. There were good matches. And then after probably like this past November, is whenever I just stopped playing for a lot of it. I kind of wish the forward ranking system would come back.
I would agree with that, but if you look at every other competitive shooter that has a ranking system that people are very active in and competitive in, I think having the restrictions for queuing with other players is a good thing, because I can queue with like a copper 5 friend, and obviously we'll be in like higher lobbies with that copper 5 friend, but we'll still be in lower lobbies than I would be solo.
PC Siege is better than console.
I don't know. I feel like Aiden was talking about like his like ego boost when him being a top champ or being like considered like a cheater. I think that kind of correlates into the fact of like he probably looks mechanically really good, if that makes sense. So to make that point to translate over to console is a lot more difficult to actually be that good, if that makes sense. No disrespect to you, Aiden. I'm not saying you're ass or anything, because you're definitely not. But basically what I'm trying to say is it's very hard to look good on a controller with aim, mechanics, all that, than it is MNK. So for that, I think it's more fun in a lot of ways to play on a controller, master a controller, and that's what Siege is all about, in my opinion, is constantly learning and growing as a player and learning new things.
I would agree with that, and I like 100% agree with that. But the reason I'm on slightly agree, I would say, is the fact that the console community on, I guess, on consoles, I mean, on just the console community, I mean, is very, but yeah, it's very toxic, and also like solo queuing impossible on console because no mics, comm system is just weird. It's like to get known on console, there's like one specific way, and that's just playing in the roller tourneys, I feel like.
To me, Siege on console is a totally different game than Siege on PC. I don't know. It's completely different.
PC is it accentuates what's the word? Accentuates, yeah. PC makes the pixel peaks incredibly more important than, at least in my opinion, than console. I don't even play console, but I think it's harder to line up pixel angles on console. So I guess the skill gap, to what Garfield was saying, is somewhat higher on console, just because of, you know, being able to use your joystick to move into a position that you have just a pixel angle. It's a lot easier on the WAS than it is on a controller.
Yeah, like if I say, like, I took Aiden, for example, he's never played on a controller in Siege, and then I took like NFX, for example, who doesn't play PC. If I put them in a 1v1 together, NFX is gonna be Aiden 9 times out of 10 if it's just based off mechanics, right? Like, is how hard the controller actually is.
Yellow ping is good for the game.
I think yellow ping's good in casual, but I don't think it should be in ranked. Like I know why they have it in casual, because like it's good for new players, and it just like the Z ping just makes it easier for like players to like know where they are, and it gives like the position on the map. So I just think it's like better, like especially with how hard Siege is, like having that like just basically just like, facilitates it and makes it like easier for new players to like sort of like get their like bearings. But I do think it shouldn't be in ranked or comp.
I was there before the Z pings were a thing, and it was, whenever you pulled something off, like you wallbang somebody off of a call out, they were few and far between, and when you did pull it off, it was awesome. And I think now, like, you have a constant in the back of your head saying like, oh, you know, am I on cam right now? And like you're kind of moving around and stuff. And I think it made the game faster just by people don't feel safe not moving at all. And I understand that's kind of rat play, but also it's, you know, you're inside a building, you know, being able to say, hey, shoot this board at head level. I don't know. I think there's a higher skill gap to know your call outs and exactly where somebody is. And whenever somebody calls out, hey, he's on X call out, crouched, prone, whatever. And then you're taking the information from the call out, not just looking at the yellow dot and holding mouse 1.
I would agree with that too, because I feel like it takes away the tactical aspect of Siege being a tactical shooter, because like other games, they added like some sort of ping within the last few years as well. Like with Valorant, they came out with this, CS2 added it. I feel like it takes away,
but it's only in first person.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it takes away, I guess, the slow tactical aspect of Siege and how everything's supposed to be calculated. And also, I feel like the skill gap for the callouts, it's just yellow ping, and then you could just instantly wallbang someone. Anyone can do that.
Anytime.
I think it should be limited to first person only. It shouldn't be in cameras. And if it is in cameras, then ping the middle of the room, not a direct, hey, pre-fire direct ping. Like that's not a call out.
Anytime this topic comes up, I keep getting reminded of that Bolo clip. I don't know if you guys seen it or not, where he just kept restarting, cooking his nade like 10 times. Yeah, like that was so crazy. And part of that was because of the nade thing, like not Z-ping.
Wasn't there a feature, sorry to cut you off,
No,
wasn't
you're
there a
good.
feature where like if you're being Z-pinged, it would make like a noise?
They tested that out.
Maybe they should add that shit back, because like, if you're being Z-pinged, it like makes like a noise.
Yeah.
Maybe that would like sort of counterbalance the effects. But
Well, yeah, because like right now, if you play comp, the majority of it, like at least a lot of the kills that have to do with catching a flank player, it's like he's right there. It's, you know, and as much as we make fun of that call out, it's just pre-fire this. And like somebody was making that point earlier, but that's kind of what comp play feels like now. And I mean, I don't play at the highest level, but that's just kind of how half of it is. You don't need to know the call out if you can look at the yellow mark.
Yeah, it trickles down. But I don't know, like for me, sorry, whoever the fuck I just interrupted, by the way. For me, I find that yellow pinging is also a great aspect for, let's say, solo queuers or even, you know, girls that don't want to use their mic or little kids, you know, because they don't want to be bullied. I feel like that aspect is good for that audience as well, or even console players, especially on Xbox, who don't have mics or their mics just don't work in game.
It's also harder on console to give a direct ping, like on a forehead. You know, like
for
PC, with a camera, you can ping directly on somebody's forehead. On console, I would say it's harder to do exact. So
the thing about the forehead pings, though, unless they're like right up against a wall, I know you guys like all experience this. If somebody's in a long hallway and you're trying to Z ping them, you don't ping their head, you ping their feet, because the ping on their head will go in the Narnia. I do gotta say though, if we're complaining about Z pings just because of like the cheese quilt, like countering like roamers or whatever, or just in general, isn't that on the person who's playing to scan the room for drones, cams, etc.? And like, isn't that on them for not destroying that shit?
No, I mean, I guess I agree with that.
But
yeah, I agree because we're talking about lowering the skill gap with Z-ping, which is true in some ways, especially communication, which is the most important part of Siege. But it also, people just don't scan for util.
It definitely goes both ways. I agree with that, 100%.
The thing with drone is that there are a lot of places they can hide it, so you can't search everywhere.
They stick out though.
Game, I feel like.
Yeah,
You can set up with everything. You set up with like
claymores, nomads.
Cams on the opposite side.
It definitely goes both ways.
Removing nade cooking was a good change.
Personally, like, besides me loving it, of course, it was one of those aspects with utility that almost seemed like it had depth to it, if that makes sense. Like, it took skill, especially early on in the first 5 years of Siege. From what I've seen, like, a lot of players didn't know how to properly do it or consistently do it. It seemed like the last like few years, that's really when it was emphasized a lot more. And it honestly, like, I get why they did it, but in all reality, I think they should have just made it where the damage is a little bit different once it actually impacts off the, let's say, floor. But overall, I just liked being able to like cock nades and then make random impactables. Even
it was so satisfying getting a kill from below as well. Like,
yeah,
that was a top 10 like satisfying moment in the game. Like,
yeah,
I would agree with that, but at the same time, I feel like it was a good time to like make a meta change in a way, because everyone was getting good at it. So it's like you can just be sitting below and get random naded, and then it's you can't do anything about that. And like, I did enjoy the nade cooking in terms of util clearing, like during the util meta back in like 2021, but since then meta has changed a lot, so I feel like removing the nades was good, because Wama and Jaeger used to be like a need, but now you'll see a lot of defense setups not even have any of those, so it's like nade cooking was just adding too much onto the meta.
Yeah, that's very true. I don't know, I just think that they should have found a way to make it less lethal instead of just full right, just being like, okay, fuck this cocking shit, we're done.
I think they definitely should have just reduced like the destruction of it, like through walls and through floors, and then it would have been good, because the direct nade, that's
I'll agree. It was probably the lethality with, you know, the nade's just instant through the floor. But now, I mean, you can still up nade, especially with the like, you can see the project, what's it called, the
line.
Yeah, you can see the line of the nade. So if you shoot just one panel out of the floor, you can 100% of the time you can put a nade in between the two panels of floor, and it's going to give you your impact hole. So I guess it was just the instantaneous, like, it goes off your feet and there's nothing you could have done about it in sight. That's the part I didn't like about it.
I'm pretty sure when you do that, though, the defender does get a reminder.
It's not the same.
Yeah, so you have a second to get out.
Yeah. So I think how it is now is not bad, but I think if they added back the cooking and then removed the destructive side of it, it would be a lot better.
No, like, I think you can keep two nades, but why not just remove canceling? Like, pull the pin and then you just reduce the floor banging and allow it to be you should if you're going to cook a nade to do a floor nade, you're committed to that. You don't get to just abandon.
Yeah.
And it'll result in so many more people blowing themselves up, but it removes that, oh, he moved, and you just put your grenade back in your pocket and wait for the next Z ping.
Yeah, this is what I had in mind, because if they lowered the damage from the floor, it would make it inconsistent with the C4, and someone will be like, why my C4 can kill from below but my nade can't? And that wouldn't make sense.
They're two very different gadgets, I feel like, because you can throw a nade into a Narnia, and you can't throw a C4 in a Narnia.
Do we know how frag grenades work in real life as well? Because C4 is way different than a nade.
Like real life grenades are all like projectile, but C4 is just explosive.
Yeah, but in the gameplay part of the Siege, they are basically the same gadget on defense and attack in some way. Or they were actually.
Yeah, they're the lethal throw. Like, that's just kind of the idea.
Operator bans ruin variety.
There are so many ops in this game that it's kind of vital to add that ban. If the bans weren't there and you're playing, like, say, like very defender attacker sided map with all the ops up, every game's pretty much going to be the same. Very similar outcomes, and there's no, I guess, variables in factor here. I was thinking they should, like, I've seen this around on Twitter too. I was thinking they should add another ban just because of how many ops and how the meta is right now, because like a flex ban. Either attacker, defender, each team gets one. That's what I was thinking. It's a decent idea, but obviously we'll have to see how it turns out, if that's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, everything they said is valid. You don't want to, if you make certain things unbannable, you can't proactive ban. So you can't say, hey, look, guys, we want to do this. Let's ban XX, or I guess X and X, because, you don't, like you said, more bans would be nice. But you get rid of a Mira, and all of a sudden you have much easier time clearing certain rooms, or you ban a Ying, and you don't have to worry about getting flash plant rushed on. What's the worst one for that? Like border, probably.
Yeah, border with Ying is it's a bit.
Yeah, just certain strats you either don't want to deal with, or certain approaches that would counter your strat. Just get rid of it. If somebody's making the argument that bans are a bad thing, I want to meet them.
Map bans were a good addition to ranked.
Like every other game or every other map over time, learning it has been fine. I don't know. It just, for me, sometimes I just feel like playing a different map. And so
what about
getting one off
outside
the
of
board?
Lair?
It's kind of limited to Lair now, because every other map I think I play fine. Like all the other maps are kind of chill now. So I get why you wouldn't want bans, but sometimes, the stack's just like, hey, we don't feel like playing that map right now.
I would say the first time they added it, when it was only 3 and H team banned 1, that was very bad. But after they increased it to 5, it's pretty good right now.
Besides, like, the minuscule, like, downtime, like, that adds up over time, it's just like seeing Siege before map bans were introduced versus now, there is so many people that are like two map crutches. Like, I don't care how much you hate maps, like, let's say Lair or Emerald Plain or any of that, but all I know is after, like, if you played it, let's say 20 times a season, you would learn to like the map because you actually understand the map a lot more.
I would agree with that 100%, but my point, why I guess slightly agree, is because I'm a little biased here, because I play a lot of people I know in like my elo. So like when I see someone I know, if either they're a comp player or rank player, I know what map to ban against them. It's very similar to comp, because let's say I'm playing a bunch of ranked people that only play ranked on like Coastline, and Coastline's in the map, well, I'm banning Coastline immediately if I have like a comp player stack. It adds another like dimension in terms of variables for how a game would turn out.
Yeah, but do you guys remember whenever the very first season that map bans came out was the season that Chalet got reworked, and it was banned every single game.
Everybody hated it.
Yeah, but now it's like the #1 played map, because it's the only one where people are like, like they shrug their shoulders at it. I like the fact that I don't have to play Coastline 7 straight games in a row if I don't want to, but also you need to learn every map to be a well-rounded player.
100%.
Yeah, that's what Siege is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be how flexible you are in different scenarios, different maps, different sites, like different settings. So
what if they removed map bans, but they made like the maps were only ranked maps, like comp maps? You didn't like Canal, Coastline, Emerald, all that shit, wasn't it?
Canal's not on Pro League, is it?
No,
you said it's not. I don't personally, I don't like that, because like I heard somebody say fuck Canal. Personally, I really like Canal because it plays like a ranked map, and it can get a little bit competitive. Of course, it's not going to be like a map like, let's say, Consulate, but I'm not a fucking pro player. Majority of players that play ranked are pro players. So at what point and why are we putting resources into making maps, reworking maps, and then just not to be able to play them in ranked because they're not in a ranked pool? I mean, pro league pool.
I miss old Siege.
I mean, I feel like it's mainly nostalgia. Like when I started playing Siege, it was like, you know, like hop back on after school with a bunch of your friends. But I do feel like I really like the old movement and shit, and like just like how like more fluid it was, and the old. Like, I just like how I miss how everything was faster. I just feel like everything's too slow right now, and you know, like I feel like it's a difference of opinion whether you like that or not. And I just prefer. I come from COD, so I preferred it when it was like a lot more like fast paced, in my opinion.
What did he say? The fast pacedness? Was that his main point?
Like being like faster and like the ADS speed, you know, like just like that sort of stuff.
I don't think Siege, if it was exactly the same way that it used to be with the old leaning, the same same perspective issues that we used to have, I don't think the game would have lasted as long or would have sustained the player base that sticks around for all the bullshit that we deal with. I just don't.
I 100% agree with that, because for me it's a little biased. I know how Siege now it's very good for casual player base for getting a lot of players on the game, but I feel like back then the skill gap was a lot higher just because of the movement.
Yeah, the game was very niche too. So, like, yeah, I see people like Godly, sorry to interrupt you again.
You're good.
I see like people like Godly Noob or like Jolly, for example. They made tweets talking about how the game was a lot better and you still had people playing how the game was supposed to be played. The reality is the game was new. It was very niche. It was a tactical game, and at the time, it was a multiplayer game that didn't have a single player story. So there was very minimal people actually playing compared to other games like Call of Duty.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%.
Oh.
It's just the fact that old Siege was more fun for me, but
no, that's facts.
Yeah,
that's facts.
In general though, for Siege now, I think it's in a good spot in terms of, I guess, the gameplay, because the skill gap isn't crazy like it was before.
But is that because of the changes, or is that because of the amount of players that we have playing now? Mixed in with the bullshit changes like Rank 2.0.
I think it's a mix of both, honestly.
Yeah.
Content, changes, everything. Like, I think everything kind of factors into that.
Because how long did it take you to learn Siege? Like, and actually feel comfortable in the game?
Honestly, a solid few months.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, all those hours that you grind it, imagine the game was exactly the same with the broken perspective, broken fucking movements. Like, yeah, like people wouldn't enjoy Siege if it came out now. If it was,
there were a lot of bugs, like
so many bugs. People meme on Operation Health, but Operation Health actually fixed a lot that was broken in the game. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if Siege is surviving. If we have another one, bro.
I have hopes for year 10. I think year 10 is very important to Ubisoft. I don't know.
Ubisoft does a good job.
I'm split to the fact of they have a lot of shit to put up with. I mean, it's an old game, and I don't know. I understand that the cheating is in a really rough spot, but everybody has their own job. Like within Ubisoft and within the teams and stuff, that they're making the balance changes and stuff where if you're in a legit game at the moment, it's pretty well seems like a balanced game 9 times out of 10 outside of maybe shields. But I think it's the lack of an anti-cheat and the lack of, I guess, contracting and stuff on Ubisoft's part that is just shitting on the game, because you can't get I feel like you can't get a legit game a lot of the time, and you're so skeptical every time you're in a legit game that somebody's cheating on the other team, or just I think it's mismanaged on Ubisoft's end, but I think the dev teams do a good job of trying to stay with metas and everything.
I'm not gonna lie, I was being a little dramatic, but I don't think Siege is in a terrible spot right now. I don't think it's great either, but I would say Ubisoft, they could do so much better with what they're working with in terms of like how many people are playing this game, how much money they're making from the game. I feel like they could do a lot more, and obviously their teams, it's a fault of each and one of their teams, I guess. But yeah, I think if another company was running it and was actually like utilizing everything that they had to work with, I think that this game could be one of the best games in the world.
Yeah, other companies have done more with less.
Yeah, 100%.
At the same time though, like when you have less, like the thing about Ubisoft, and especially Siege itself, and as a creator that's worked with Ubisoft and had to deal with a lot of dumb shit, it trickles down. So like communication isn't very direct. It's like I like one thing I say to my UB person, they have to go through a whole different department. They have to put in requests. They have to do so much shit. So when you have less restrictions, with a lot less resources, you have a lot more flexibility to do whatever the hell you want. Versus a company like Ubisoft that's multi-billion-dollar. They have like investors to worry about. They have a bunch of other bullshit to worry about.
I would agree with that point, but at the same time, I feel like although they have all those goals and like hoops to jump through to make actual changes, I feel like that's not the fault of the players or the actual that's not the fault of the players or what they're working with either. Because I feel like let's say like Riot, for example, they're a huge company. They're a huge company, but they still make Valorant somewhat enjoyable. Huge player count. Same with Valve too. Huge. They've been around for a long time too, so it's just very. I understand where you're coming from, but I've seen other, I guess, developers make it work too. So why can't Ubisoft? You know?
No, that's very true. And like we're talking about Ubisoft, where there's no other game in their fucking like no other franchise right now under their company is doing well besides Rainbow Six Siege. You would think they would put all their fucking eggs in one basket and actually double down on proper content that actually matters.
Yeah, they don't treat it like it's their cash cow when everybody knows it is.
Siege 2 would be great for the game.
I feel like it's very circumstantial because Siege 2 it's very broad. You know what I mean? So it's like it could mean they change the game up a lot or very little. So I think it's just very circumstantial and depends what they do if they were to release Siege 2.
Here's the thing. Here's what I think about when I think of Siege 2. You know, Overwatch, even though people hate Overwatch 2, I think of it as they're not deleting any characters, they're not deleting any operators, they're not deleting any skins, they're not deleting any of the shit that we've bought. They're converting it over to a new game engine. They're refreshing it, adding stuff into an engine that's built around, you know, the technology that we have now in 2024 to kind of circumvent the next few years, right? The next possible 10 years. That's how I see it. I just see it as upgrades. I don't see it as the fundamentals changing, like with the maps, maybe just upgrades, but I don't see it being like drastic and they're just restarting the fucking Siege universe and we're getting more like random new operators because let's be honest, if they delete it, like let's say like an operator, like even someone minuscule like Cali, somebody would be pissed off.
I 100% agree if that is the case, but the reason I'm in the middle is just because knowing Ubisoft, they don't really like they've added and removed a bunch of stuff that no one has really asked for or cared about. You know what I mean? It's like they make a lot of useless or just relevant changes, and I'm scared that if Siege 2 were to come out, that would carry over to that.
I think it's just if they update the engine and they update the anti-cheat, and I don't know if you guys saw like basically Homeless's last video on like an actual AI anti-cheat work. Like if they could have something like that, it would be worth sticking a 2 on the end of the name just if the shit worked. That's all it would need.
Yeah, they would need to really deliver because like there's going to be a lot of players that haven't played Siege in a very long time because of cheaters or other reasons that will come back and will try it. And I hope, especially seeing how they handled X-Defiant and how it's being handled, I hope they actually care for it.
The thing is, what if in like let's say in February when they do like the year 10 reveal, what if they say Siege 2 but it comes out in like 2 years? Like, because if they do announce it, it won't come up instantly, right? I'm guessing.
Why would you say that though? Because like the last year we haven't got that much content. They could have been like technically working on that in the background.
Yeah. If they were to announce it, I really don't think they would announce it 2 years ahead. I think they would announce it either like 6 months ahead at most, I think.
Yeah, like they did with CS.
At most.
Yeah, but there are signs that they're diverting resources to it.
Yeah, exactly. So
like you would hope so.
Or they cost cutting, like you know, they don't necessarily have to be diverting resources. They also cost cutting. Like you've seen, like they laid off a lot of employees like over the last couple months as well. So you know,
cheating in video games should have legal consequences.
Do you really trust Ubisoft with like your like for them to be able to take legal consequences, they need your information. No, do you really trust Ubisoft with your information? Do you know how easy it was to
have my assistant?
I mean,
bro, you know how easy it is for me right now to pull all your information off your PC? Yeah, it's like that. Like it's very like you have to realize a multi-billion-dollar company, even though how stupid we do think Ubisoft is as consumers, they're not gonna handle our details very stupid. That's lawsuits waiting to happen that will literally destroy Ubisoft.
And we're talking about legal punishments too. If there were legal punishments, it would be handled by the government, not directly by Ubisoft itself, because it's like a global game. So it's like not Ubisoft wouldn't be able to handle all of that because they don't have jurisdiction in a lot of places, or anywhere actually. They have zero legal jurisdiction.
I mean, do you really think Ubisoft will be able to take, like, let's say they, like, someone's cheating in Russia, like, they're not going to be able to take, like thing against that.
Obviously not. Obviously not.
Exactly. Like, Ubisoft is a French, I think it's like a French company. Like, if someone lives in, like, Iraq or, like, Russia or something like that, like, I doubt they'd be able to do anything to someone that living in there.
By the way, the question is more based on, like, should countries, like, have laws related to it? It's not really, like, whether Ubisoft should take legal action. It's like...
Yeah, it's universal, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's I misunderstood the question then. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, because it all boils down to, like, you only get so much time on this earth, right? And they're taking that time from you. Like, they're stealing that time from your life, right? And whenever you think about it in that deep, whenever you get into the game, they are taking that time away from you. And I think that's you know, on the same level of, you know, they wouldn't do something like that, or they wouldn't say something stupid in person. So why would they do that?
All right, I changed my
Anyways, that about wraps up today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. If you disagree with the champions, feel free to leave your opinions in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you'd like to see other videos in this format, potentially with other creators, make for sure to let me know. I'm always open to additional ideas, and I'd love to hear what creators you guys would like to see next on the channel. If you enjoyed today's video, I make Siege content just like this twice a week, so go subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter if you don't want to miss the next upload. Also, make for sure to check out all the champion socials that made this video possible. They will be at the top of the description if you're interested. Now, if you want to watch another video just like this one, a video will be popping up on your screen right now that I'm sure you all enjoy. I'll see you next time, friends, and peace.